Hey guys, Marshall here with another episode of Plausibly Anything. And I heard something really interesting last night I wanted to build off of. And this is that uh, depression is kind of the way that you're reacting to uh, being kind of like reborn in a way. So I don't know what the neutral terminology is for this sort of time where you're kind of being reborn. Some people even call it like a midlife crisis and stuff like that, where they're kind of like in a personality crisis. Um, and so that forces you to look internally. And so this stage of being looking internally at yourself, it can be either a really rough stage for you if you're not certain how to react to it. And a lot of times you'll think very negatively about your situation. You'll feel like things are out of your control. And this is that depressive state. This is the depression is the way that you're looking internally and negatively experiencing this time of your life where you need to sort of rewire yourself or find yourself. And so I had a period like that where I was I was with my brother running a landscaping company, and I had this accident that rendered me paraplegic. So this experience, not only did it force me to kind of take a different career path, um, it forced me into that period where I was looking internally at myself. I even spent, it was probably 2 years almost, where I was in this sort of um, bad experience with depression. But I also, my experience also was a little bit different than everyone else's. I suffered a psychosis and symptoms of schizophrenia from being drugged with PCP. So my experience was a little bit different, but also very much the same as what a lot of people go through with depression, where they're looking internally and they maybe they're stuck in this idea that they're a victim, and so you sort of go through the same conversation with yourself, and your mind isn't really doing a service to you because you're not really in control of it. And so you need to find a way to sort of be proactive on your mind and basically guide your mind into being a servitude of you. And so during this time of like looking internally, maybe you're in solitude. Maybe I feel like almost casually during the winter, everyone kind of goes through some almost like a little bit of a minor depression where they don't get to they're not being able to be themselves in a way. But they're also kind of like in the reaction to the weather and everything like that. And so my experience, I ended up sort of flipping my experience, like I was talking about, where I went from being depressed, being unsure of what my path was going to be, and then all of a sudden, it's hard to say what exactly happened at the time that it changed, but I started reading. I started reading books on investing and listening to books on investing, and there was this change in the possibilities in the future. I was looking towards the future. I was excited to see where this could take me. There's a little bit of a dopamine whenever you sort of realize things that they make sense, and you're excited about them. It's like this new knowledge and things like that. It's a new rewiring of yourself. And so I was sort of rewiring myself in this understanding of investing. And I've always been into business. I went to school for business. And so I went from going to school for marketing and business administration to working with my brother's business. And I wasn't really fully into it, but I was doing it. I was being personable. I was doing the service and everything like that. To then having this period of gap in time where I was in this state where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And it finally, I was very much at the effect of my mind kind of bouncing around all these previous incidents that led up to my psychosis, and I wasn't in control of my mind in a way. And so I had to look. I looked internally, but then I also looked for mentors, and I looked. Um, there is this mentorship in investing. It's very much there, where these people talk about healthy business experiences, bad business experiences, and how they were able to put themselves on the right path. Business is very much a display of an individual's path in life, actually, and so the philosophies of investing. I've always been kind of interested in philosophy. It helped me find myself in a way. It helped me rewire myself to being more thinking about my progress versus feeling at the effect of events, feeling like a victim, feeling like things are out of my control. Whereas I wasn't very enthusiastic about exercising. I felt, what's the point? I can't move my legs. What's the point of this stuff? And then all of a sudden, I fell back in love into the progress and then even the process of exercising, because of I was just becoming more and more present. I got away from this internal dwelling. Um, in the end, but there was definitely that time where there was the internal dwelling, there was the focus on progression during this internal dwelling that helped move me past it. So this is a period of time whenever you need to look internally, and you can see it in a positive manner versus a negative manner, where you need to look and figure out how you need to rewire your own brain to help yourself leave this area of this depressive state to then seek the progress. But a whole lot of this is in this rewiring stage, is flipping things from seeing that period as being a negative period to seeing it as a positive period, a period where you can grow off of, because you're in the state of trying to figure out yourself, and that's not a bad thing. And it oftentimes, this feeling of being lost, it becomes a very negative thing. You can become angry at others, you can become frustrated, you can really lack the ability to regulate your own emotions, and sometimes this sort of stuff will lead people into doing egregious acts and things like that, or indulging in alcohol to the point where they become addicted, and there's different addictions that can sort of happen during this internal state where you're going to redefine yourself. You can either redefine yourself into a really downward spiral, or you can change that. And fortunately, I was able to change that, and I had experienced something that a lot of people experience, but my experience was extremely difficult, because when you deal with a psychosis, it's to some people, they can deal with a psychosis that's just a few days or a week, where they have this this confusion of reality and things like that. It's almost like an identity crisis itself. But what I experienced was something that was 3 months, because it was drug induced. So I had a really severe attack on my personality, my identity, and things like that, where I went from being completely cool with what I was doing. It wasn't like it. I did have this fulfillment of doing this service for people. Then I was kind of poisoned in a way, and this dark experience that I had. The only way for me to deal with it was to seek help, really, and I didn't seek help, and it ended up rendering me paraplegic. And so there's definite need to seek help with a psychosis. It isn't really something I don't think you can just rewire yourself and get out of that yourself. So anyone suffering from that deep downward spiral, if it was a a drugging or a poisoning, you do need to seek some help, especially if it lasts more than a week. Because I dealt with that experience where I was just like, oh, this is going to stop any day now. It's going to stop any day now. 1 week turned into 2 weeks, all of a sudden a month. All of a sudden I was in this really wild experience where some days were worse than others. And inevitably I always had this problem regulating my thoughts, but not quite like how it was after I experienced my accident. And that's what I specifically was talking about early in this video. There's that period of time after my accident where I was in a depressive state, but it wasn't a psychosis necessarily. There was times whenever I would feel that my thoughts were really out of control, similar to the psychosis, but it wasn't quite like that. I did kind of experience somewhat of a psychosis after that period, and it was around the time whenever I suffered my first psychosis, where I was, in this. I started thinking about all the things that had happened in the past, and it helped. It created. It just kind of, that downward spiral kind of continued, or it came back, but in that situation, I was able to manage it better. Because it was nowhere close to what I experienced the first time. And so there is that possibility that if you don't control what's going on with you internally, that you could end up in a psychosis that isn't even drug induced. I don't want to spread any fear to anybody, because fear is also a possibility of controlling your ability to regulate your emotions, and this internal battle. It can be very much about fear and victimization, and so you just have to think proactively about this situation. If you're someone that's in a depressive state, you have to understand that it's not exactly external events that are putting you into the depressive state. It's something going on internally, and you're completely in control of your fear and your victimization, and your energy. These are all internal things. Yes, you may be a victim of an event, but then all of a sudden, when you think about yourself as a person going from day to day, you're not a victim every day, and you need to sort of change this idea of being at the effect of other people's actions upon you. So some people go through life and they don't even experience the understanding that they're in control of their own energy. They don't even think about it, but the actions that they take with their own energy is completely their own responsibility, really. You're always in control of your own energy. Nobody has you under some spell. And so you can feel like that at times, but you have to understand that this is, your body is your home, and this is your responsibility to understand your energy and help yourself rewire yourself. I wouldn't even expect a therapist to be able to do it for you. I would recommend listening to some YouTube channels. Alan Watts, AlanWatts. Alan Watts has some really awesome YouTube content where he discusses purpose in life and being responsible of your own energy and things like that. And then Neville Goddard is another person that can help you with that. The idea of stoicism, where you become in control of your mind in events of solitude and events of internal anguish. There's mentors out there. And another option also is think like a monk. Another person that put out some great content to help serve other people, and that actually reminds me too, is that one of the best ways to get out of this internal battle is finding a way to serve other people. And that's what monk life is kind of like. You want to be able to be a service of other people, um, and serve them in the way. And we covered this recently. Serve them in a way that you can help mold their own reality to the best. It doesn't people. You don't have to make everybody think like you, but be empathetic enough to understand their position and help them find the tools to help themselves, because a lot of people are extremely resistant to their own self-growth, to the point where they'll put up walls and be like, I'm okay, even though they could be suffering from an internal battle, a downward spiral, an unhealthy lifestyle. So you have to make sure that you're doing your best to serve their situation and their reality, to help grow them in a way. Don't make it so much about your own service, but act in a way to serve other people. It's a little bit confusing, but I hope it makes sense to you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I have probably some final thoughts here, some more notes potentially. And these are some notes I think from an Alan Watts video. Desire is a reflection of who you think you are. You have to balance your desire with your intention. And so you have to evaluate that you're in control of your own desires, and you're in control of what you have attention towards. And this attention will mold your reality. So whether it's a political party you're exposed to constantly, your attention is going to mold your reality and your views towards that. That's why a lot of times is people will stay in a political party for a long time because they want to be, told what they want to hear. And so when you invest in your attention in things, they become your reality. Attention directs your experience in life. Don't resist life, but let it flow. I think this is another important topic, is your experience in life will really suffer if you're the type of person that wants to control things, because all of a sudden you're trying to control outcomes. And if you don't get the outcome you want, you're very attached to the outcome. And even your personality will be attached to the outcome. And I experienced this with people that just recently have seen their political party lose this election. They're very attached to this outcome, and they honestly, maybe they even felt like they had some control as they talked about this day to day, their desire reflecting who they are. And me personally, I'm not very involved in politics. I think there should be something more than just a bipartisan type experience in this world, or in America. And so whenever Trump became president, or he hasn't become president, whenever he won the election, I was not attached at all to this. I did not care too much. I didn't vote for Kamala. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I'm really happy I did too, because honestly, it also made me care less about I don't like to be affected by external stuff like that. When I'm in this time where I'm trying to constantly build a very strong reality for myself, I don't want my beliefs that I've created for myself to be intertwined with political party beliefs, because they're not really geared towards just an individual. You may want to coincide with this category of whatever, but I'm not the type of person. I want to kind of create my own category to help strengthen my own belief systems. And so whenever something like that can happen, I'm just going with the flow in a way. Like I was just talking about. I'm not resistant to this stuff. I'm not. There's people that are upset over this stuff that is completely out of their control. And you got to find a way to detach from this stuff. A lot of times, this sort of stuff will disrupt you from doing the things that you like. If you want to exercise because you want a six-pack, and let's say you're a heavy dude, they may not be even realistic. I know a lot of people that have body types that you can't even really get a six-pack. So fall in love with the process of exercising, the idea of being healthy. You'll never know where it's going to take you. It could take you on a journey years later where you're just in great physical condition, you feel great, and that's really what it's about. It's about feeling good in the present. So if you attach yourself to some outcome of being super jacked and you can't reach that goal, all of a sudden your whole purpose of doing the thing shrivels away and you stop exercising. And so just fall in love with the process, fall in love with the present, be able to shape the new person that you are, because really that's who you are is in the present right now. You know, I'm living a very expressive lifestyle where I'm getting out in front of my channel to talk to people. This is who I am right now, and this is how I'm going to continue to be. I feel great about doing this, and I want to get in front of more and more people. So it's not I need to have 100,000 people subscribe to my channel. It's how can I improve my service? How can I get a better workout in? Right now, as I put all these sort of things together after my accident, I have been able to not only get great exercise in, I've been pushing myself more and more to the point where I'll even exercise to failure. I'll do 100 push-ups in a row. There's something that I just didn't think was going to happen years ago. I'm increasing the workload. I feel amazing, really. And that's what matters. That's what matters. Just molding yourself in the present on a daily basis. I've sort of changed the way that I look at my days. I journalize and I sort of time bubble what I'm going to do throughout my day. This has been something to help with my productivity too, so that I can sort of stay on track, continue doing the things that I want to do. You're not bound to some particular story that happened in the past. You are the person from moment to moment, a fluid construct of the present. And there's a big difference between wanting and needing, and also being detached from some need for an outcome. There's some of these concepts are very, very simple, but then as soon as you sort of listen to these Alan Watts, Neville Goddard videos on YouTube, they're so simple, but they're so powerful. And as soon as you sort of rewire yourself and you incorporate these on a daily basis to the way that you think about things, the more you're very reflective on what you're doing to other people, and the more that you are just controlling the things that you can that you should control, and not controlling things that are based off of your perception of what the future is going to be. You have to really watch out for that, because that's going to disrupt your ability to be who you are in the present whenever you're trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. If you go out with your friends and you want to meet a girl, your best odds are really just mingling in a very positive, fun manner, and just enjoying yourself. As soon as you want to get an outcome, you see a cute girl. As soon as you want things to go right, they're not going to go right. You're kind of forcing it. You're trying to control situations. You'll even get frustrated. This will even change the state of your energy whenever you get frustrated that things don't work out. And that's why people suffer from. They suffer so much after being in relationships with people for years, because they're very dependent on the other person sometimes, and they don't have a construct of not needing, in a way, not needing another person to be around. It's difficult, but you can rewire yourself to be not needy, to really enjoy solitude, and I have a lot over the last few years. Solitude can be a beautiful place. It can even be a place you wouldn't think so, where you can even develop yourself to be more and more expressive. So there's tons and tons of concepts in this Mentoring 365 playlist that I have provided. This is the Anything Plausible channel. You can also search Plausibly Anything on YouTube and you'll find me. And if you check out all these past videos, I cover all kinds of different things. Improving your self-expression, improving your spirituality, just to have better outlooks in life. You could also check out a few of those recommendations I said earlier in the book to see how that stuff works for you too. You are not in control of some incident. You are not the effect of some incident. You don't have to dwell in this, in being held in some certain experience of a depressive state because of how other people tell you should be. There's so much room to prosper and enjoy your life. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please join me again with another episode, and subscribe to the channel. Hey, a like would be great too, but that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.